While back in the forest, Clove the Pronghorn paced back and forth all the while worrying for Sister Cassia. It had been an hour since the operation had begun, and the Pronghorn waited patiently, hoping for a favorable answer. She thought that what could possibly happen to Cassia if she reacted negatively to the new cybernetics that we placed onto her. She would regress further and further to the point where she would need special treatment or would die in an instant. This thought made Clover extremely nervous for her sister's health and well-being. She wanted to get that horrifying thought out of her head, seeing that it was giving her a negative feeling for her. "Try not to think about it, Clove muttered. "Just don't think about it." But before she could think of something else, Bunny came out of the tent. The operation was taking place, and she came out because she wanted to give the Pronghorn status on how the operation was progressing. "Hey, Clove," Bunny said. "Oh, hey, Bunny," Clove said. "How's my Cassia? Is she doing okay?" "She's currently out cold," Bunny answered. "Well, I thought I had some good news and bad news." "Bad news first," Clover sedated. "Well," Bunny hesitated. "I don't know how to say it, but..." "Please say it," Clove pleaded. The half-rabbit, half-cyborg then took a deep breath before she could speak. "We've already inserted the new cybernetics for Cassia," she explained. "But we are not entirely sure if she would react with her new cybernetics similar to her old ones, since she just came out of being under anesthesia. Or anesthesia or whatever. We have to keep a close eye on her to see what happens next." This caused Clove to drop down to her knees and quietly. "Oh no," the Pronghorn whimpered, feeling sympathetic for her. Bunny got down to her level and comforted her friend. "It's okay, Sugar," she said. Almost immediately, Rotar popped out of the tent to alert one of the girls about Cassia. "Bunny," he said, "it's Cassia. She's not waking up." "What?" Clove gasped. "Oh no," Bunny said. "It'll be okay if you come in here and help me," Rotar asked. "Sure thing, Rot," Bunny said. She got up from the ground and said, "Don't worry, Clove. We'll make sure your sister's feeling better. In the meantime, be sure you pray for her." "Okay," Clove said, sadly. As Bunny made her way inside the tent, Rotar offered Clove to a seat on the chair where she could sit down. Clove sat down in the chair as the walrus walked back inside the tent. She placed her head on her hands and cried and praying for her sister's recovery. She felt so sorry for lying to her sister over the years of her old cybernetics Eggman gave her. If Cassia were to pass on, Clove promised herself that she would never forgive herself. Meanwhile, back at the kingdom, each and every one of Eggman's robots searched something high and low for the heroes. Unfortunately for them, they were unable to find them, or at least one of them. So they went back inside the castle in defeat. Once the coast was clear, Sonic, Shadow, Lavinia, and Katarina came out of the bushes they were hiding. "Man, that was close," Katarina sighed. "I thought we were gonna get busted." As she was dusting herself, Katarina looked around and gasped at the sight. "Oh my chaos," she said. "What's wrong, Katarina?" Shadow asked. "Guys, look," Katarina said. Everyone looked at their direction and they were horrified. They saw in each and every one of their friends as statues. "Oh no," Lavinia cried, walking up to Knuckles. "This can't be." She hugged the statue-cursed boyfriend and cried her eyes out. "Who did this to them?" Shadow asked, feeling concerned for his girlfriend Rouge the Bat. "It must be Joseph and Marcus," Sonic answered. "How?" Lavinia asked. "They tried to use a potion to turn me into one of the statues," Sonic explained. "I saw Tails, Sally, and Tony transform into them. I wasn't able to save them in time." The blue hedgehog lowered his head with remorse, shaking his head in the process. "I don't blame you, Sonic," Shadow said. "I wasn't able to save him either, as I couldn't save Maria in time." He also lowered his head, as well as Katarina hugged her fellow Chaotix member. Espio was filled with sadness filled in her eyes. "Oh, Espio," she whimpered, giving him a kiss on the forehead. "I wish I could have saved you and the rest of our friends." Hearing that Cassia was taking the revelation hard, the ultimate lifeform decided to brush his sadness aside. He walked up towards her and comforted the cat, while saying that he would become stronger and she would become a stronger girl, despite making mistakes in the past. They were not going to give up. Cassia was in there, but of course, with that being the case, they had to do something. Katarina gained her confidence after hearing what Shadow said. "You're right, Shadow," she said. "I have to learn from my mistakes Lavinia and I made to become successful." "That's more like it," Shadow said, patting the cat on the shoulder. However, Lavinia got down on her hands and knees while sobbing. "Hey, Lavinia," Katarina said. "Are you alright?" "No, Katarina," Lavinia answered. "I'm not alright. All this wouldn't have happened if we didn't run away from here. She cried so hard that she wasn't able to speak. Like Shadow and Sonic looked away at the sadness and walked up towards his foster sisters, he kneeled down to comfort her and help her gain her confidence in the situation they were in. Lavinia, Sonic began, and this is not anyone's fault. It was the fact that your so-called father decided to take over the kingdom. With the help of their brother, Lavinia got up from the ground and took a determination look on her face. You know what? She said. I think we should go back to the castle and confront my father, Marcus, and Dr. Eggman. What do you mean? Katarina asked Lavinia. She took deep breaths and walked over towards her younger twin. Katarina, remember we ran away from the kingdom? She asked. Katarina nodded her head. Well, I think we ran away not for freedom, Lavinia explained, but we ran away out of fear from father's ranting and raving. Katarina lowered her head and said, I never thought about that. I never thought of how bad this world would turn out. She then looked at her older twin and said, Lavinia, I'm sorry. Then she lowered her head again. But then Lavinia placed her hand on her sister's shoulder. It's not your fault, Katarina, she said. Katarina looked at her twin sister with confusion. Huh? She asked. Even though I wish I could have done something else than retreating from this place, we were scared and worried of what would happen if we stayed there longer, Lavinia explained. But how? We have new friends and family that loved us dearly. I know that, Katarina said. But what this has to do with the situation we are now? Well, what I'm trying to say is, Lavinia said before taking a deep breath, I know this is the perfect time to face our fears and to stand up for our father and Marcus, as we have done so with Dr. Eggman. After a moment of silence, Katarina placed her hand on Lavinia's shoulder and smiled at her. Lavinia, she said, I think you were right. We ran away from danger, but now is the time we face it. Lavinia nodded and gave her sister a smile before the two sisters shared a hug. That's the spirit, Sonic said. Well, it looks like it's settled, Shadow explained. You girls go confront the Cat King and Marcus while we deal with the other Death Egg robot. How are you guys gonna do that? Katarina asked. The blue hedgehog and black hedgehogs looked at each other with a smirk, and then they both revealed the 7 Chaos Emeralds in their hands. Oh my gosh, Katarina gasped. That is so cool. How in the world did you get all of those Chaos Emeralds? Lavinia asked. Let's just say we were all carrying 1 Chaos Emerald with each of them, Sonic explained. After looking at her sisters, Lavinia said, Okay, let's get ready and do this. They began to make their way to the castle before splitting up to their assigned points. Joseph's corridor for Lavinia, the dungeon for Katarina, the throne room for Sonic and Shadow. This was going to be a really good plan. And this plan, they hope it was not going to fail.